At dinner with my parents, she smirked. "Don't get too comfortable. Once we're married, your family won't matter anymore." I just nodded. 2 weeks later, when she needed their help and they turned her away, she finally understood what she'd thrown away. My father has a saying, "The strength of a house is in its foundation." He was a construction worker his whole life, and he taught me that you can have the most beautiful design in the world, but if the foundation is cracked, the whole thing is worthless. I am a firefighter. My life is built on a similar principle: trust. You trust the foundation of your training, you trust the guy next to you in a burning building, and you trust the family you come home to. For the past 2 years, I thought the foundation of my life with my fiancée Lauren was solid rock. I was wrong. It was sand. And last night, the tide came in. Lauren and I were supposed to be getting married in 4 months. She is smart, beautiful, and ambitious. I thought we were a perfect match. My family loved her. My parents, who are retired and live a simple, quiet life, treated her like the daughter they never had. My mom taught her how to make her famous lasagna. My dad, a man who does not let many people into his circle, would spend hours talking with her on the back porch. They were all in. In fact, they were so all in that 3 months ago, they sat us down and gave us a check that made my hands shake. It was a huge portion of their life savings, their retirement fund. They told us it was for a down payment on a house. "A family needs a home," my dad had said, his eyes tearing up a little. "This is your foundation." Lauren cried and hugged them, calling them the best parents in the world. Last night, we were having our weekly Sunday dinner at their house. It was a normal evening. My mom made a roast. My dad told his usual bad jokes. Lauren was a little quieter than usual, a little sharper around the edges, but I chalked it up to wedding planning stress. After dinner, my mom was showing Lauren a photo album from when I was a kid. I was in the kitchen with my dad, helping with the dishes. I walked back into the living room, just in time to hear my mom say, "I just cannot wait to have you as my daughter, and to have grandkids running around this house." Lauren looked up from the photo album. She looked at my mom, then her eyes flickered over to me as I stood in the doorway. A small, smug smirk appeared on her face. She reached out and patted my mom's hand in a way that was meant to look kind, but was deeply condescending. "Don't get too comfortable," she said, her voice sweet as poison. "Once we are married, your family won't matter anymore. It will be all about my family then. That is just how it works." The air went out of the room. My mom's smile froze, then slowly faded. She looked confused, like she did not understand the words she had just heard. My dad, who had followed me out of the kitchen, just stood there, his face like stone. Lauren seemed to enjoy the effect her words were having. She looked directly at me, a challenge in her eyes. She was testing me, showing me the new power dynamic she believed was coming. She was declaring that my foundation, my family, was about to be demolished to make way for hers. I did not yell. I did not get angry. I did not even let the shock show on my face. I just looked at her, at the woman I was supposed to spend my life with, and I saw her for the first time. I saw the cracks in the foundation. I just nodded, a slow, deliberate nod. Then I walked over to my parents. I put a hand on my mom's shoulder. I looked at my dad. "It is getting late," I said. "We should go." The drive home was silent. Lauren tried to start a conversation a few times, talking about the wedding, about her dress, about her own parents who were flying in for a visit next month. I just kept my eyes on the road and gave one-word answers. She took my silence as me being moody. She had no idea it was me calculating the demolition of our entire future. When we got home, she went to take a shower, humming to herself as if nothing had happened. She thought she had won. She thought she had laid down the law and that I had accepted it. I went into my home office and made a phone call. Then I sat down at my computer and started making a plan. My father taught me that when you find a crack in the foundation, you do not patch it over. You expose it, you examine it, and if it is too deep, you bring the whole damn house down and start over. The demolition had already begun. Update 1. It has been 1 week since that dinner. 1 week since Lauren declared my family irrelevant. For her, it has been a week of wedding planning and blissful ignorance. For me, it has been a week of quiet, methodical deconstruction. The morning after the dinner, I went to my parents' house before my shift. They were both heartbroken. My mom kept asking what she had done wrong. My dad was just quiet, a deep, angry hurt in his eyes. You did nothing wrong, I told them. You were perfect. You were the family she never deserved. I then did the first thing my plan required. I took out the checkbook for my personal savings account, and I wrote them a check for the exact amount they had given us for the down payment. I slid it across the kitchen table. I cannot accept this, I said. The foundation is cracked. The house is not getting built. My dad tried to protest, but I stopped him. This is not a discussion, I said. This is your future, your retirement. It is safe with you. I need you to do one more thing for me. I need you to trust me, no matter what you hear over the next couple of weeks. Can you do that? They both nodded, their eyes full of a trust that Lauren would never understand. When I got home from my shift, Lauren was in a great mood. She had spent the day on the phone with wedding vendors. She started talking about upgrading the floral arrangements and adding another course to the dinner menu. It is going to be expensive, she said with a little laugh, but it will be worth it to impress my family. I just nodded. Whatever you think is best, I said. For the next few days, I played the part of the agreeable fiancé. I went with her to a cake tasting. I looked at seating charts. I agreed to every upgrade, every added expense. With every decision, I could see her confidence growing. She thought she had me completely under her thumb. Meanwhile, I was making my own calls. I spoke to every vendor we had a contract with, the venue, the caterer, the photographer, the band. I explained that there was a potential change of plans and asked for clarification on the cancellation policies. I got everything in writing. The contracts were all in both of our names. The cancellation fees were substantial, and we were both equally liable. The second part of my plan involved her parents. They are people who live a life of quiet desperation, always trying to keep up appearances. They live in a big house they cannot afford and drive cars they are leasing. I knew they did not have the cash to bail her out of a real financial crisis. I hired a private investigator, a guy I know through work, to do a simple financial background check on them. The results were exactly what I expected. They were leveraged to the hilt. A second mortgage on their house, massive credit card debt, and a recent loan application that had been denied. They were a house of cards, waiting for a breeze. The final piece of the plan was the most important. I went to a lawyer and had him draft a series of documents. Then I waited. The moment came yesterday. Lauren came home with a stack of final invoices from the wedding vendors. The deposits were due. Okay, she said, sliding the papers across the table. Time to pay up. We need to transfer the money from the house fund. I looked at the invoices, then at her. I kept my face neutral. There is no house fund, Lauren. She laughed, confused. What are you talking about? The money your parents gave us. I gave that money back to them last week, I said calmly. I could not keep it. Her smile vanished. You did what? Why would you do that? That was our money. No, I said, my voice firm but quiet. It was their life savings, and I could not accept it for a future that does not exist. I stood up and went to my office. I came back with a single manila envelope and placed it on the table in front of her. Our relationship is over, Lauren, I said. It ended last Sunday when you told my mother she would not matter anymore. She just stared at me, her mind struggling to catch up. You are breaking up with me? Over that? I was just joking. No, you were not, I said. You were showing me who you are. I believe you. I tapped the envelope. Inside, you will find a few things. First, a list of all the wedding vendors, along with their contact information and copies of the contracts we both signed. You are now solely responsible for managing those relationships and any outstanding balances or cancellation fees. Her face went white. She knew how much those fees were. Second, I continued, you will find a formal notice giving you 30 days to vacate my house. Since we are not married, you have no legal claim to this property. And third, I said, my voice dropping a little, you will find a copy of your parents' recent loan application, the one that was denied. I thought you should know the real financial situation of the family you are so eager to prioritize. It seems they are not in a position to help you with those cancellation fees. She opened the envelope, her hands shaking. She looked at the contracts, at the eviction notice, and then at her parents' financial records. The smirk was gone. The confidence was gone. All that was left was the raw, ugly panic of a person whose entire support system had just been vaporized. "You cannot do this," she whispered, tears welling up in her eyes. "Where am I supposed to go? How am I supposed to pay for this?" "I am sure you will figure it out," I said. "You are a smart woman. You just made a bad investment." I turned and walked out of the room, leaving her alone at the table with the wreckage of the life she had so casually thrown away. The house was quiet. The foundation was sound. I had just removed the one part that was rotten. Update 2. It has been 2 weeks since I ended my engagement and my old life. The silence from my end has been absolute, but the noise from hers has been a symphony of desperation. I have been staying with my parents, giving her the space to move out and to fully experience the consequences of her choices. The first week was a predictable storm of angry texts and voicemails. She called me a monster, a liar, a coward. She accused me of planning this all along, of tricking her. The irony was lost on her. She had been the one with the plan, the one who saw our marriage as a transaction. I had simply read the fine print and decided not to sign. Her parents called me too. Her father yelled and threatened me with lawyers. Her mother cried and pleaded with me to be a man and not abandon her daughter in her time of need. I did not answer their calls. I had my lawyer send them a simple letter stating that any further contact would be considered harassment. The calls stopped. The real drama began when the wedding vendors started calling her. The deposits were past due, the cancellation fees were piling up. She was on the hook for tens of thousands of dollars. As I predicted, she ran to her parents, and as I predicted, they could not help her. Their big house and fancy cars were a facade, built on a mountain of debt. They did not have the cash to bail her out. I heard from a mutual acquaintance that the arguments in that house have been epic. They are blaming her for the mess, for her arrogance, for not securing the investment that I represented. The superior family she had been so proud of was devouring its own. And then, yesterday, the moment I had been waiting for arrived. The moment my entire plan had been built around. My parents called me. They told me Lauren was there, on their front porch. She had shown up unannounced, in tears. I had prepared them for this. We had talked it through. I had asked them, again, to trust me. I told them that this was not about punishing her, but about teaching her a lesson that no one else could. My mom was the one who opened the door. Lauren, I am told, fell apart. She gave a long sob story performance. She said she had made a terrible mistake. She said she loved me, and she loved them. She said she was desperate, that she was going to be ruined financially, and that they were her only hope. She begged them for a loan, just enough to cover the wedding debts. She promised she would pay them back, every penny. My mother, a woman with the kindest heart I have ever known, listened patiently until she was done. Then she looked Lauren in the eye, and her voice was not angry, it was just sad. "I am sorry, Lauren," my mom said, "but we cannot help you." Lauren was shocked. She started to protest, to plead again. But my mom held up her hand. "You were right," my mom said, her voice quiet but firm. "You told us that once you were married, we would not matter anymore. You told us it would be all about your family. We have decided to respect your wishes and start now. This is a problem for your family to solve." And then, my mother closed the door. She told me later that it was the hardest thing she has ever had to do. But she also told me that in that moment she understood. She understood that some lessons can only be learned through the deafening silence of a closed door. Lauren stood on that porch for a long time, crying. Then she got in her car and drove away. She has been texting me nonstop since then. The messages are different now. The anger is gone. The entitlement is gone. All that is left is a raw, desperate understanding of what she has lost. She is not just losing money. She is not just losing a fiancé. She is losing the one thing she never valued, a family that would have stood by her, a foundation that would have held her up, if only she had not been the one to take a sledgehammer to it. Final update. It has been 6 months since I walked out of that dinner. The storm has passed, and the quiet that has followed is the most peaceful I have ever known. I am writing this final update to close this chapter. Not just for you, but for myself. My life is back on track. I am still a firefighter. I still go to work. I still trust the man next to me, and I still come home to a house with a solid foundation. The house is a little emptier now, but it is not lonely. It is calm. I have spent the last 6 months reconnecting with my family. The experience, as painful as it was, brought us closer than ever before. My parents and I talk every day. The trust between us is absolute. A few months ago, I took the money they had given me for the down payment, added a significant amount of my own, and set up a trust fund for them. It is not a huge amount, but it is enough to ensure that they can live out their retirement in comfort and security without ever having to worry about money again. When I told them, my dad just hugged me, and for the first time in my life, I saw him cry. "That is a foundation," he said. As for Lauren, her life has been a cascade of consequences. The wedding debts were real. She was forced to declare bankruptcy. It was a messy, humiliating process that has destroyed her credit for the foreseeable future. The dream of a lavish lifestyle funded by someone else is over. Her relationship with her parents has completely fractured. The financial strain and the public shame of the bankruptcy have been too much for them. They blame her for everything. She is still living with them, but I am told it is a cold and resentful existence. The superior family she was so proud of has become her prison. She lost her job. The stress of her financial and personal life collapsing caused her performance to suffer, and she was let go. Without my network and support, she has struggled to find new work. I received one final communication from her, a letter forwarded by my lawyer about a month ago. It was a long, rambling apology. She wrote that she finally understood what she had thrown away. She said that the silence from my parents' door was the loudest thing she had ever heard. She wrote that she had been raised to believe that love was about acquisition, about upgrading, about finding the best possible deal. She said she had seen me and my family as a good deal, but she had always been looking for a better one. She wrote that she now understood that love is not a deal. It is a foundation, and she had cracked hers beyond repair. I did not respond. There was nothing left to say. My revenge was not in the bankruptcy or the lost job. It was not even in the humiliation. The real revenge was in the lesson. The lesson was delivered not by me, but by my mother, a woman of quiet strength, with a simple, closed door. Lauren did not just lose a fiancé. She lost a family. She lost the unwavering, unconditional support of good people who would have walked through fire for her. She had it all in her hands, a love as solid and real as the houses my father used to build. And she traded it all for a smirk and a few careless words. She is now living in the wreckage of that choice. I am happy. I am at peace. I have a family that matters, and that is the only foundation I will ever need. At her best friend's birthday, she announced, "Dating down really puts life in perspective. Now I know what I don't want." Everyone laughed. I quietly got up, left $50 on the table and drove home. She spent the night texting apologies. I spent it blocking numbers. Hey viewers, huge thanks to everyone who's already subscribed. We're getting super close to 10,000. If you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button and help us reach that milestone. I'm 34M and work as an electrician. Good steady job, own my house, trucks paid off. Nothing fancy, but I'm comfortable. Been dating Vanessa, 30F, for about 10 months. She has some finance job downtown, makes good money, definitely more polished than me, but I thought we balanced each other out. Vanessa's friend group is what you'd expect. Young professionals, trendy restaurants, weekend wine tastings, that whole scene. I've hung out with them maybe 6 times total. They're polite to me, but there's always this underlying vibe that I don't quite fit. Last Saturday was her best friend Lauren's 29th birthday. Big dinner at some upscale steakhouse downtown, maybe 12 people total. Lauren specifically requested I come, which I thought was nice. Should have been a red flag. Thing is, I've noticed little comments from this group before. 3 months ago at a wine bar, someone made a joke about me being the token blue-collar guy. 2 months ago at a dinner party, Lauren asked if I'd ever considered advancing my career beyond manual labor. Last month, Vanessa's coworker mentioned how refreshing it was that she was exploring different types of people. I ignored it all, figured they just didn't know many tradesmen. Vanessa always seemed embarrassed by their comments and would change the subject. We get to the restaurant around 7 p.m. Nice place. Cloth napkins, wine list thicker than a phone book. I'm wearing my good shirt and jeans, everyone else is in business casual or better. The usual dynamic, but I'm used to it by now. Dinner starts fine. Good food, normal conversation about work and weekend plans. I mostly listen, contribute when someone asks me something directly. Vanessa seems relaxed, keeps including me in conversations. Around 9 p.m. we're finishing dessert, and Lauren stands up with her wine glass. Time for the birthday speech. I just want to thank everyone for being here tonight. This has been such an amazing year, and you guys are the best friends a girl could ask for. Standard birthday stuff. People are smiling, raising their glasses. I've learned so much about myself this year, especially about relationships and what I want in life. She's looking around the table, making eye contact with everyone. Vanessa, you've taught me something really important this year. Watching you has been so educational. Vanessa looks confused but pleased. What do you mean? Well, your whole dating down experiment. It's been fascinating to watch from the outside. The table goes dead quiet. I feel my stomach drop, but I keep my expression neutral. I mean, dating someone so different from your usual type, someone who doesn't match your education level or lifestyle, it really puts life in perspective, doesn't it? Vanessa's face is turning red. Lauren. No, I'm serious. It's brilliant, actually. Now you know exactly what you don't want in a partner. The whole experience has been like a cautionary tale for the rest of us. Half the table looks uncomfortable, the other half is nodding along. Some guy named Brad actually smirks. That's harsh, but probably true. Another woman adds, it does make you appreciate compatibility more. I'm sitting there processing that I've apparently been a 10-month social experiment while her friends discuss me like I'm not here. Lauren raises her glass higher. So here's to learning experiences and knowing your worth. Thanks for showing us what settling looks like, V. Really educational stuff. Everyone's looking between me and Vanessa now. Vanessa looks mortified, but she's not saying anything to defend me. Just sitting there frozen while her friends toast my humiliation. I calmly reach into my wallet, pull out 2 20s and a 10, and place them on the table next to my plate. The entrees were around $35. This covers my meal with tip. Happy birthday, Lauren, I say, standing up. Thanks for the education. I walk out of the restaurant without hurrying. Don't make a scene, don't slam doors, just leave with whatever dignity I have left. Get to my truck and sit there for a minute. 10 months of my life. 10 months of thinking I was in a real relationship while apparently being someone's slumming experiment. The casual cruelty of having it announced like entertainment is staggering. My phone starts buzzing before I even get home. Vanessa calling. I decline. Text. Mike, please don't leave like this. Another call. Decline. Text. Lauren was drunk. She didn't mean it. Another call. I turn my phone off, get home, crack a beer, and think about the last 10 months. All those comments I brushed off. All those times I felt like a curiosity instead of a boyfriend. All those moments when I wondered if I was imagining the condescension. Turn my phone back on around 11 p.m. 19 missed calls from Vanessa. 26 text messages. Mike, I'm so sorry. Lauren is an idiot. Please don't take this seriously. She's jealous because she's single. Everyone thinks she was way out of line. Please call me back. We need to talk. I'm driving to your house. Why aren't you answering? This is ridiculous. You know I care about you. Don't throw away what we have over something stupid, Lauren said. I start blocking numbers. First, her personal phone, then when she tries calling from what's probably a friend's phone, I block that too. Around midnight, I hear a car outside. Look through the blinds and see Vanessa's BMW parked on the street. She walks up to my door and starts knocking. Mike, I know you're in there. Please just talk to me. I don't answer. She keeps knocking for about 10 minutes, then goes back to her car. But she doesn't leave. Just sits there watching my house. She finally drives off around 12:30 a.m. This morning there are flowers on my doorstep with a note. I'm sorry. What we have is real. Please don't let Lauren ruin this. V. Threw the flowers in the trash with the note. Here's the thing. Maybe Lauren was drunk. Maybe she was bitter about being single. But dating down experiment isn't something you make up on the spot. That phrase came from somewhere. That was language they'd used before. And Vanessa's reaction told me everything. No immediate defense of me, no shutting Lauren down, just embarrassment that her friends said the quiet part out loud. I've been someone's social science project for 10 months. Someone's way of figuring out what she really wants. The charity case that made her appreciate her own standards. Not interested in being anyone's learning experience while they figure out their preferences. She got her education. Now she can find someone who matches her requirements from day one. Update 1, 48 hours later. Well, this has been an interesting couple of days. Thanks for all the comments and support. Good to know most people think being publicly called a dating experiment deserves an immediate exit. So yesterday, Vanessa escalated her damage control campaign. She showed up at my job site around lunchtime. I'm working on electrical for a new office building downtown. We were on break when my supervisor Frank comes over. "Mike, there's a woman outside asking for you. Says it's urgent." I look toward the street and see Vanessa standing by the sidewalk in her work clothes. She's smart enough to stay outside the construction zone, but she's clearly waiting for me. Tell her I'm busy. She says she'll wait until your break is over. Then she's going to be waiting a while. But having my personal drama visible to my crew isn't professional. I walk over to the fence separating the site from the sidewalk. "Vanessa, you can't be here." "Mike, please, 5 minutes. There's nothing to discuss." "Yes, there is. What Lauren said was completely wrong and I told her so." "When?" "Because you didn't say anything at the restaurant." I was in shock. I couldn't believe she said something so horrible. Horrible but accurate, apparently. "That's not true. Mike, you know how I feel about you. I know how your friends feel about me, and I know you didn't correct them." My crew is trying not to stare, but this is getting awkward. "Please just meet me for coffee after work so we can talk properly." "No, then dinner tomorrow, or this weekend, anything." "Vanessa, I'm not interested in being your social experiment anymore. That's not what this was." "Really?" Because Lauren seemed pretty confident about the whole dating down thing. Lauren doesn't understand our relationship. She understood it well enough to give a toast about it. Vanessa looks around and realizes people are watching. "I'm not giving up on us, Mike. There is no us. There's just you figuring out what you don't want." I walk back to the job site, and she eventually leaves. That evening brought a new approach. Vanessa had her sister Kim call me. We'd met a couple times at family gatherings, always seemed reasonable. "Mike, I heard what happened at Lauren's birthday." Word travels fast. "Vanessa told me what Lauren said. I wanted you to know that was completely out of line." "I appreciate that, Kim. She's been crying for 2 days. I've never seen her this upset. I'm sorry she's upset, but this isn't something I can fix. Mike, I know my sister. She genuinely cares about you. Your sister's friend called me a dating experiment, and she sat there silent. She was probably in shock. She was probably embarrassed that someone said what she'd been thinking." Long pause. "You really think that's how she sees you? Kim, your sister makes good money and has a graduate degree. I'm a high school graduate who works with my hands. Her friends talk about wine regions while I drink beer from the bottle." The writing was on the wall. That stuff doesn't matter if you care about someone. It mattered to Lauren, and judging by the reactions at that table, it matters to the rest of her friends too. "So that's it? You're not even going to give her a chance to explain?" She had her chance to explain on Saturday night. When Lauren was talking, that was her moment to shut it down. She chose silence. Kim tried convincing me for another few minutes, but I wasn't interested. Today brought Vanessa's most desperate move. Around 2 p.m. I get a call from my mom. "Mike, I just got the strangest call." "From who?" "Some girl named Vanessa. Says she's your girlfriend and you two had a fight." "Ex-girlfriend. What did she want?" "She wanted to know if I could talk to you about giving her another chance. Said there was a misunderstanding." "What did you tell her?" "I told her I don't get involved in your relationships, and she had no business calling me." "Good. How did she even get your number?" "She said you'd mentioned me bringing cookies to your worksite last month, so she called around to electrical companies until she found someone who knew Frank, your supervisor. Frank gave her my number thinking it was an emergency." "That's pretty determined. That's pretty desperate." "Mike, what happened?" I explained the whole situation. Mom listens without interrupting. So this girl's friend called you a learning experience? Pretty much. And your girlfriend didn't defend you? Nope. Then you made the right choice, honey. You deserve someone who's proud to be with you, not someone using you to figure out what they want. Thanks, Mom. Although I have to say, calling me shows she's really panicking. That girl must be realizing what she lost. This evening, I get a text from Vanessa's number. Mike, this is Lauren using V's phone. I owe you a huge apology. I almost delete it, but I'm curious what excuse she's come up with. What I said on Saturday was completely wrong, and I'm sorry. I was drunk and taking out my own relationship frustrations on you. That doesn't make it okay. I know. I talked to Vanessa yesterday, and she told me how serious you two are. She's been planning to introduce you to her parents at Christmas. If that's true, funny way of showing it. Mike, I was wrong about everything. Vanessa talks about you constantly. She's crazy about you. Then why didn't she defend me? Because she was shocked. We all were. Nobody expected me to say something that cruel. But you did say it. Yeah, I did, and I've been regretting it ever since. I think about this for a while before responding. Lauren, maybe you were drunk and frustrated, but dating down experiment isn't something you make up on the spot. You've heard that phrase before. You're right, my ex-boyfriend used it about his previous relationship. I was projecting my own situation onto yours. So, this had nothing to do with how she actually feels? Mike, Vanessa has never said anything negative about you. Ever. Then why do I feel like a zoo animal around her friends? Because we're snobs who aren't used to someone genuine. But that's our problem, not yours. Long conversation, but it got me thinking. Maybe I misread the situation. Maybe Lauren really was just being drunk and bitter. But then I remember Vanessa's face at the restaurant. The silence when she should have spoken up. Still not sure what to believe. Final update 1 week later. Time to close this chapter. It's been a week since Lauren's birthday speech, and I've had time to think about everything that happened. After Lauren's apology text, I spent a couple days considering whether I'd overreacted. Maybe she was just drunk and bitter. Maybe Vanessa really was planning to introduce me to her parents. Maybe I jumped to conclusions. Then I started remembering other things. 2 weeks ago, Vanessa mentioned wanting to take a weekend trip to Napa Valley. When I looked up wine tour prices and said it seemed expensive, she got this look and said, well, I could probably cover it if you can't afford your share. At the time, I thought she was being generous. Now I realize she was already planning around my financial limitations. Last month, at her office Christmas party, her boss made some condescending comment about blue-collar workers. Vanessa didn't defend me, just changed the subject like she was embarrassed. 3 weeks ago, she suggested I might want to explore some continuing education options to expand my opportunities. When I said I liked my job, she said, of course, but don't you want to grow? Those weren't isolated incidents. They were part of a pattern I'd been ignoring because I wanted the relationship to work. Wednesday, I made my decision. I called Vanessa from work. Mike, oh my God, I'm so glad you called. Vanessa, I've thought about everything and my answer is final. We're done. Mike, please don't say that. I love you. You love the idea of being with someone different, but you don't love me enough to defend me when it matters. That's not fair. I was in shock. Fair is being with someone who sees me as an equal, not a project. You are my equal. Your friend called it dating down, and you didn't disagree. That tells me how you really see this. I'll cut Lauren out of my life if that's what it takes. It's not about Lauren. It's about the fact you agreed with her assessment. I never agreed with anything. Your silence was agreement enough. She kept trying to argue, but I'd made up my mind. Thursday, she tried one last time. Showed up at my house around 7 p.m. with what looked like a prepared speech. I answered the door, but didn't invite her in. Mike, I've been thinking about this all week. You're right that I should have defended you immediately. I was wrong to stay quiet. Okay. I want to make this right. I've already told my friends that anyone who disrespects you isn't welcome in my life. Good for you. I want to prove that you matter to me, that this relationship matters. How? However you want. I'll introduce you to my parents this weekend. We can move in together, whatever shows you how serious I am. I looked at this woman I'd spent 10 months with, trying to figure out if she was genuine or just panicking. Vanessa, can I ask you something honestly? Anything. Before Lauren's speech, had you ever thought of our relationship as dating down? She hesitated, just for a second, but I caught it. No, I never thought that. Not even early on? Mike, that's not. Yes or no? Did you ever think you were dating below your level? Another pause. Maybe at first I wondered if we were compatible long-term because we're so different. But that changed. When did it change? Months ago. Mike, I fell in love with you. But you did think you were dating down initially. I thought we came from different worlds. That's not the same thing. It's exactly the same thing. You saw me as beneath your level and hoped it would work out anyway. That's not how it was. That's exactly how it was. Lauren just said out loud what you'd been thinking. Mike, please. Find someone who matches your background from the start. Someone who doesn't make you wonder if you're settling. I closed the door, and that was the end of it. That was 4 days ago. No more calls, texts, or surprise visits. Either she finally accepted reality, or she's already moved on to someone more suitable. Yesterday I had lunch with my buddy Tom, who works plumbing. Told him the whole story. Man, I could see this coming from a mile away. What do you mean? Mike, that girl never looked at you like you were her equal. She looked at you like you were interesting, but not like you belonged. You noticed that? We all did. She was nice enough, but there was always this vibe like she was doing charity work. That confirmed what I already knew deep down. I'm doing fine. Better than fine, actually. No more second-guessing myself around her friends. No more feeling like I need to prove I'm worth her time. No more dating someone who saw me as a social experiment. The revenge wasn't elaborate. It was just refusing to be someone's learning experience and walking away with my dignity intact. Lauren's speech was the best thing that could have happened. It showed me exactly how Vanessa and her friends really saw me, and gave me the clarity to end things before wasting more time. Vanessa got her education about what she doesn't want. Turns out, she doesn't want someone who has enough self-respect to walk away when disrespected. Next time, I'll find someone who sees dating me as moving up, not down.